Earth's core has slowed down so much, it's moving backwards. Scientists confirm here's what it could mean: pole shift, magnetic pole shift. We're going to talk about it. Probably not, because, well, you got to stay tuned for this. So, listen to this: the slowing of Earth's inner core. Recently, a scientific paper was published through nature.com, and the published article is Inner Core Backtracking by Seismic Waveform Change Reversals. CNN picks this up, titles it Earth's core has slowed down so much it's moving backwards. Scientists confirm. Here's what it could mean. So they use seismograph technology and earthquake data around the world. They compile all this information, and they've come to the conclusion that the inner core of the Earth that helps create the magnetic fields, which appear to be weakening right now. Also, we have a connection with the sun, but it appears that not only are the magnetic fields weakening, but the inner core has slowed down so much, it's actually reversed trajectory. Oh, yeah, and buckle up, Buttercup. Real quick, 1 minute here. Are you worried about the future of the U.S. economy? With so much uncertainty in the air, it's natural to be concerned about the security of your retirement and your retirement savings. But there's one asset that stands the test of time: gold. For centuries, gold has been a hedge against market volatility and economic instability. And with the Gold IRA from Noble Gold Investments, you can harness the power of precious metals to help protect your financial future. By rolling over your existing IRA or 401k into a self-directed gold IRA, you can enjoy the potential for long-term growth and stability. Diversify your portfolio with a tangible asset that has real value. Setting up your gold IRA has never been easier with Noble Gold Investments' streamlined process and expert guidance. This election year, don't let election volatility and uncertainty keep you up at night. Vote for the timeless safety of gold and silver in 2024. Noble Gold Investments will give you up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar if you open up a qualified account. Go to noblegoldinvestments.com right now. That's noblegoldinvestments.com, or you can go to leakprojectgold.com and get the free ebooks. Call 1-877-646-5347 now. And let's get back to the presentation. Deep inside Earth has a solid metal ball rotating independently of our spinning planet, or top whirling around inside of a bigger top, shrouded in mystery. So the inner core has intrigued researchers for decades. Scientists have been attempting to figure out how it moves. The rotation speed, the direction, has been at the center of a decades-long debate, and a growing body of evidence suggests the core's spin has changed dramatically in recent years. Scientists have remained divided over what exactly is happening. So what does it mean? Well, allegedly, part of the trouble is the Earth's deep interior is virtually impossible to observe samples directly, or to observe or sample directly, I should say. Seismologists have gleaned information about the Earth's inner core motion, and they examine how waves from large earthquakes that ping that area behave. Variations between waves of similar strengths that pass through the core at different times enable scientists to measure changes in the inner core's position and then calculate its spin. The differential rotation of the inner core was proposed as a phenomenon in the 1970s and 80s, but it wasn't until the 90s that seismological evidence was published, said Dr. Lauren Wazek, a senior lecturer of physical sciences at James Cook University in Australia. Researchers then argued over how to interpret the findings, primarily due to the challenge of making detailed observations of the inner core due to the remoteness and limited available data. So as a result, studies which followed over the next years and decades disagree on the rate of rotation and also its direction with respect to the mantle, she added. Some analysis even proposed that the core didn't rotate at all. So one model, which was proposed in 2023, describes the inner core that in the past had spun faster than the Earth itself. It's now spinning slower. For a while, the scientists reported the core's rotation matched the spin of the Earth. Then it slowed down more until the core was moving backward relative to the fluid layers around it. So it's literally saying the Earth's inner core has reversed. Now, my question is, if the inner core has an effect on our magnetic fields, how is that going to affect the magnetic fields? We can definitely see the magnetic fields have weakened, especially during the daytime when the sun is at its height. It's much brighter. It's much more intense on the skin, usually, versus 20, 30, 40, 50 plus years ago. So we have a weakening magnetic field. The sun is now in a solar maximum, but previously in its solar minimum, we were still dealing with a weakened magnetosphere. There's a lot of speculation about what's creating or causing the magnetosphere to weaken. We have seen incredible aurora borealis lights lately. The signs in the heavens and the stars and the skies, space is incredible. So what is causing all of this to change? What is causing the Earth's inner core to literally slow down and now rotate opposite direction? Well, don't get too concerned yet. I don't think you need to bring in the tomato plant yet. Maybe, because this is, according to the science that is being presented, a 70-year cycle where the actual core of the Earth slows down and then reverses every 70 years. Maybe. Let's hope so. At the time, some experts cautioned more data was needed to bolster the conclusion, and now another team of scientists have delivered compelling evidence for this hypothesis about the Earth's inner core rotation rate. The research was published June 12th in the Journal of Nature, and it not only confirms the core slowdown, it supports the 2023 proposal that this core deceleration is part of a decades-long pattern of slowing down and speeding up. The new findings also confirm that the changes in rotational speed follow the 70-year cycle, said study co-author Dr. Jean Vidal, Dean's Professor of Earth Sciences at the University of Southern California's Dornsife College of Letters, Arts, and Sciences. We've been arguing about this for 20 years, and I think this nails it. Vidal said, I think we've ended the debate on whether the inner core moves and what's been its pattern for the last couple of decades. But not all are convinced the matter is settled. How did this slowdown happen of the inner core? How does it affect our planet? It's still a question, still questions, though some experts say Earth's magnetic fields could come into play. Now, the magnetic attraction, scientists say that the core is about 3,220 miles within the Earth. They say it's a solid metal inner core surrounded by a liquid metal outer core. The inner core is made mostly of iron and nickel. It is estimated to be as hot as the surface of the sun, which is about 9,800 degrees Fahrenheit, 5,400 degrees Celsius. The Earth's magnetic field yanks at the Earth's inner core, this solid ball of hot metal, making it spin. At the same time, the gravity and flow of fluid, outer core and mantle, drag at the core. So over various decades, multiple decades, the push and pull, these forces cause variations in the core's rotational speed. Vidal said, the sloshing of metal-rich fluid in the outer core creates electrical currents that then power the Earth's magnetic fields, which protect our planet from solar radiation. Though the Earth's inner core directly influences the magnetic field in some way, it is not known how exactly. Scientists had previously reported in 2023 that a slower spinning core could potentially affect it and also fractionally shorten the length of days by milliseconds. When scientists attempt to see all the way through the planet, they're generally tracking two types of seismic waves, pressure waves and shear waves. So S waves and P waves move through all types of matter. S waves only move typically through solids. Now, this is according to the U.S. Geological Survey. Seismologists noted that in the 1880s, the S waves generated by earthquakes didn't pass all the way through Earth. So they concluded Earth's core was molten. However, some P waves, after passing through Earth's core, emerged in unexpected places. So they call it a shadow zone, or Lehman calls it a shadow zone, creating anomalies that were impossible to explain. Lamont said the first to suggest that wayward P waves might be interacting with a solid inner core within the liquid outer core based on data from an earthquake that took place in New Zealand in 1929. So, tracking seismic waves from earthquakes that pass through the Earth's inner core along similar paths since 1964, the authors of this paper, or of the 2023 study, found that the spin followed a 70-year cycle. By the 70s, the inner core was spinning a little faster than the planet. It slowed down approximately 2008. From 2008 to 2023, it began moving slightly in reverse relative to the mantle. So they go on to say that the future core spin for the new study, Vidal and his co-authors observed seismic waves, which are produced by earthquakes in the same locations but at different times. They found 121 examples of these earthquakes occurring between 1991 and 2023 in the South Sandwich Islands. That is off some volcanic islands in the Atlantic Ocean to the Sea of South America's southernmost tip. The researchers then looked at core penetrating shock waves, which are from Soviet nuclear tests conducted from 1971 through 1974. So when the core turns, Vidal said, that affects the arrival time of the wave. Comparing the timing of seismic signals, they touched the core. As they touched the core, then revealed changes in the rotation of the core over time. And that confirms the 70-year rotation cycle. According to the researchers' calculations, the core is just about ready to start speeding up again. Now, when you compare this data with other seismographic studies of the core that measure individual earthquakes as they pass through the core, regardless of when they happen, using only paired earthquakes reduces the amount of data that is usable, making the method more challenging, Wozik said. However, doing so also enables scientists to measure the changes in the rotation of the core with better precision, according to Vidal. If his team's model is correct, the core rotation will start speeding up again in about 5 to 10 years. Oh, that's right about the 2030 time frame. Interesting. The seismographs also revealed during the 70-year cycle, the core's spin slows and accelerates at different rates, which is going to need an explanation, Vidal said. One possibility is that the metal inner core isn't as solid as scientists have predicted. If it deforms as it rotates, that could affect the symmetry of the rotational speed, he said. That makes sense to me. The team's calculations also suggest the core has different rotation rates for the forward and backward motions, which adds an interesting contribution to the discourse, Wozik said. However, the depth and inaccessibility of the Earth's inner core still creates uncertainty. And she also added, whether or not the debate about core rotation is truly ended, we need more data and improved interdisciplinary tools to investigate this further. Filled with potential. So I'm going to leave the link in the video description box for you. CNN actually did a pretty good article on this. The paper is from Nature, and they've got the locations. They show you where they did the testing with the earthquakes. It's all there. That's a pretty good read. I will share with you the abstract from nature.com. Let's take a look at this real quick. And here we go. The solid inner core, suspended within the liquid outer core and anchored by gravity, has been inferred to rotate relative to the surface of Earth or change over years to decades based on changes in seismograms for repeating earthquakes and explosions. It has a rich inner structure and influences the pattern of outer core convection and therefore Earth's magnetic field. Here we compile 143 distinct pairs of repeating earthquakes, many within 16 multiplets built from 121 earthquakes between 1991 and 2023 in the South Sandwich Islands. We analyzed their inner core penetrating PKIKP waves recorded on the medium aperture arrays in northern North America. We document that many multiplets exhibit waveforms that change and then revert at later times to match earlier events. The matching waveforms reveal times at which the inner core reoccupies the same position relative to the mantle as it did at some time in the past. The pattern of matches, together with previous studies, demonstrates that the inner core gradually super-rotated from 2003 to 2008 and then from 2008 to 2023. Sub-rotated 2 to 3 times more slowly back through the same path. These matches enable precise and unambiguous tracking of inner core progression and regression. The resolved different rates of forward and backward motion suggests that new models will be necessary for the dynamics between the inner core, outer core, and mantle. Halo, we have an inner core that is reversed. But don't worry, it'll do it again in about 70 years. I mean, it'd be neat if we could find some other models to correlate with the 7-year cycle. Here's what I wanted to show you. So these are the seismic ray paths and event locations for the testing. And another article that I wanted to share with you that I thought was pretty cool. This is from NASA. Oh, yeah. Alphabet soup. NASA's gold finds surprising C and X shapes in the atmosphere. How cool is that? X marks the spot. It's right here, folks. The start and the location. Who knew Earth's upper atmosphere was like alphabet soup? NASA's global scale observations of the Limb and Disk Gold mission has revealed unexpected C and X-shaped formations in an electrified layer of gas high above our heads called the ionosphere. While these alphabetical shapes have been observed before, gold sees them more clearly than other instruments have and is now finding them where and when scientists didn't expect. Their surprise appearances prove that we have more to learn about the ionosphere and its effects on communication and navigation signals that pass through it. Yeah, like there's a giant X marks the spot up there. Extending some 50 to 400 miles overhead, the ionosphere becomes electrically charged during the daytime when sunlight strikes our planet and its energy knocks electrons off atoms and molecules. This creates a soup of charged particles known as plasma that allows radio signals to travel over long distances. Near Earth's magnetic equator, charged particles are funneled upward and outward along magnetic field lines, creating 2 dense bands of particles north and south of the equator that scientists call crests. As night falls and the sun's energy fades, low-density pockets in the plasma, called bubbles, can form in the ionosphere. Because of their varying density, the crests and bubbles can interfere with radio and GPS signals. Okay, this is what I wanted to get to. Unexpected X-shaped crests from quiet conditions. The ionosphere is sensitive to disturbances from both space and terrestrial weather. Gold has previously revealed that after a solar storm of huge volcanic eruption, the crests in the ionosphere can merge to form an X shape. But now gold has seen an X shape form on multiple occasions when there were no such disturbances, what scientists refer to as quiet time. So the gods see this big X. They're like, there it is. Let's go. That's where the treasure is. That's pretty cool. There's got to be some significance to that. Probably not what I just said, but maybe. Earlier reports of merging were only during geomagnetically disturbed conditions. It is an unexpected feature during geomagnetic quiet conditions, said Fazlo Lascar of the University of Colorado's Laboratory for Atmospheric and Space Physics, LASP, who is the lead author of a paper about this discovery, published in April of 2024 by the Journal of Geophysical Research, Space Physics. There it is. That's a big X. You know what that looks like? That looks just like DNA. Plasma and DNA characteristics. I've heard that before. Plasma is like an interdimensional life form. That looks just like DNA, folks. Look at that right there. Looks like DNA chromosomes. Like that. That looks like something you would see in hieroglyphics or petroglyphs or under a microscope with DNA or an artist rendition of DNA. That is incredible. Look at that. Constantly, consciousness surrounding the universe. So this is the gold mission, and these are the observations showing charged particles in the ionosphere forming an X shape. This was October 7th, 2019. The colors indicate the intensity of the ultraviolet light emitted, with yellow and white indicating the strongest emission or highest ionospheric density. These unexpected appearances tell scientists that something else must be involved in forming these X shapes. Computer models suggest that the X could develop when changes in the lower atmosphere pull plasma downward. The X is odd because it implies that there are far more localized driving factors, said Jeffrey Flensing, a scientist at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland, who studies the ionosphere. This is expected during the extreme events, but seeing it during quiet times suggests that the lower atmosphere activity is significantly driven or driving the ionospheric structure. As above, so below. Cosmic DNA. I mean, that is amazing. Look at that. So cool. Pattern seen. C-shaped bubbles point to strong turbulence. Gold has also found surprising C-shaped plasma bubbles that point to other puzzling dynamics influencing the ionosphere. Most plasma bubbles appear long and straight, forming along magnetic field lines, but some bubbles are curved into C-shapes and reverse C-shapes, which scientists think are shaped by terrestrial winds. Computer models suggest a C shape forms if winds increase with altitude at the magnetic equator, and a reverse C forms if the winds decrease with altitude. It's a little like a tree growing in a windy area, explains Cleansing. If the winds are typically to the east, the tree starts to tilt and grow in that direction. In a paper published in November of 2023 in the Journal of Geophysical Research, Space Physics, LASP scientist Deepak Karan and colleagues report that gold has observed C-shaped and reverse C-shaped plasma bubbles appearing surprisingly close together, as close as about 400 miles apart, roughly the distance between Baltimore and Boston. Wow. Yeah. Like tiger stripes almost. And this looks like a sine wave. The images from NASA's gold mission show C-shaped and reverse C-shaped plasma bubbles appearing close together in the ionosphere on October 12, 2020 and December 26, 2021. Within that close proximity, these two opposite-shaped plasma bubbles had never been thought of, never been imagined, or never been imaged, said Karen. To have wind patterns change course in such a small area, Karen thinks some sort of strong turbulence, like a vortex, wind shear, or tornado-like activity is likely at play in the atmosphere. The fact that we have very different shapes of bubbles this close together tells us that the dynamics of the atmosphere is more complex than we expected, Lensing said. These close pairings appear to be rare, with only 2 instances recorded by gold so far. Yet because these features can disrupt critical communication and navigation technology, it's really important to find out why this is happening, Karan said. If a vortex or a very strong shear in the plasma has happened, this will completely distort the plasma over that region. Signals will be lost completely with a strong disturbance like this. Let's watch this one right here. I mean, it reminds me of, well, so they're going like opposite directions. That's interesting. Wondering if it has anything to do with the spikes in Schumann resonance. Some solar disturbances, maybe something. I would like to connect the sun to this at the time to see what our sun is doing. Maybe some solar flares, some sunspots, some activities going on with other planetary bodies, maybe asteroids. I don't know, but it's fascinating. And the fact that this hasn't happened that many times on recorded history there, or in the recordings of the gold technology here. So what is gold? It's global scale observations of the limb and disk, gold. So it's the mission. Take a look at this real quick. Is a heliophysics mission of opportunity for NASA's Explorers program led by Richard Eastis at the Laboratory for Atmospheric and Space Physics, which is located at the University of Colorado Boulder. Gold's mission is to image the boundary between Earth and space in order to answer questions about the effects of solar and atmospheric variability of Earth's space weather. Gold was one of 11 proposals selected of the 42 submitted, 11 and 42, for further study in the September 2011. On the 12th of April 2013, NASA announced that Gold, along with the Ionospheric Connection Explorer ICON, has been selected for flight in 2017. Gold, along with its commercial host satellites, SES-14, launched on the 25th of January 2018. So that's an artist rendition right there. Gold. Get some. Through Noble Gold Investments. Wow. Thank you for watching. Also, check us out on Patreon. We have some awesome interviews, long format interviews, some up to 5 hours on Patreon. You definitely want to check us out over there. You can be a Patreon for like $1. We've got awesome podcasts and long form interviews on our website, leakproject.com. And check back daily for new content here on YouTube. I'm actually out here in Washington right now. You can see a little bit different environment behind me. So I have a Jeep that's still under warranty, luckily, and had some opportunities on the way out here. So had to drive in safe mode for a while. That was fun. But it's at the shop, and it's been at the shop for a couple weeks. So luckily I have the coolest parents in the world, and I got stuck out here in the Northwest and hanging out with the folks. So that's the studio here. It's a really nice studio, really cool place. Thanks, Mom and Dad. You're the best. And thank you for watching the podcast. Be excellent to each other. Hit the bell, be well, and be the change you want to see.